Yeah, so that was Gargura singing Take Me Out to the Ball Game at Dodgers Stadium in LA. I gotta say, this is getting pretty surreal these days. I was not expecting a collab like this. But yeah, for this is kind of old news. Happened a whole 4 days ago. But for those uninformed, let's see. I think I had it here. Yeah, there was a Hololive night at Dodgers Stadium on July 5th, and there was a bunch of like Hololive merch, some other stuff, and cameos from Pekora, Gura, and Suisse. And it was a resounding success. Let's see if I can find some of this stuff. But yeah, Hololive night on the Jumbotron, the official art. Yeah, here's some of the stuff. They had these cardboard cutouts too, and they had some exclusive merch like these baseball cards. There was a bunch of other merch too, like shirts and stuff. And apparently the merch line, unfortunately, I couldn't get a picture, but the merch line was the longest merch line at any Dodgers game ever, apparently. So this whole event has been a resounding success for both Hololive and the Dodgers. And it sort of makes me wonder about where this might go in the future. What is the future of Hololive collaborations? Because, or even just VTuber and anime collaborations, as a whole. Because this is basically the first sort of big collab that Hololive has had in America, or I think even, internationally. Hololive, they've done stuff like this in Japan, but something like this in America, no, not really. And just goes to show the fact that this thing was so massive, it shows that there is a lot of interest in this overseas, of course, Of course, that was kind of obvious. Gargura is I'm pretty sure Gargura is the most subscribed VTuber ever. And she's got 4.5 million subs, I believe. So, VTubers are big in America too. But, it's a bit of a different ball game. But yeah, it makes me wonder because, I'm sure other sports teams are going to look at this and be like, they're going to want a piece of the pie, So I wonder what kind of other collaborations might show up and even what the future might be. Because you see this a lot because, this is a bit unrelated, but for a long time, America was sort of the sole, global cultural superpower. And, there's a lot of reasons for that. America was, the wealthiest, and then other stuff, they had. But, and also they had Hollywood. But, you look at, say, the highest grossing films of all time, it's almost all, Hollywood movies, right? But you're starting to see that shift a little, but you're definitely starting to see that shift a little bit. Sure, it's all still American movies that do the biggest at the box office. But, you see other avenues like streaming. Squid Game was, the most viewed show ever on Netflix. And even these days, anime is pretty popular among, especially young people. I mean, it feels like every other person you talk to has at least watched some anime, So you're really, America is in many ways slipping as the sole global superpower. Their military ain't what it used to be. The petrodollar kind of died. And even culturally, they're starting to lose that place too. I mean, a lot of these newer American movies are kind of, fucking dying. Disney especially, Star Wars, Star Wars, the Neo trilogy made money, but, you couldn't really call it a success. Each installment of that made less than the last installment, right? And even a lot of these new projects, like the frickin' Acolyte, that's been a complete disaster. And even with Marvel, you see this. Who the hell, do people even watch these new Marvel movies? What was even the last Marvel movie that came out? I'm pretty sure since Endgame happened, everyone just kind of dropped off. And I mean, go figure. I mean, the quality just ain't what it used to be. But anyway, yeah, so like I said, ultimately, I bring this up because ultimately, all these, big American movie studios, entertainment companies, they're losing ground to, foreign companies, whether that be Japan or Korea in Squid Game's case. And I sort of wonder, I guess, how big it might be. But, we'll see where it goes. But there's also another side of the coin. As anime, video games, in this case VTubing, expands in America, Will they compromise to meet American standards? In this case, they certainly didn't. But, we'll see. And even then, you see, like, America trying to get involved, American companies trying to get involved in Japanese media. I talked about this. Blackstone buying a Japanese manga site, one of the biggest. And then this one is kind of interesting, but this was a deal that Disney made 2 years ago with Kodansha. And it looks like they sort of renewed it or expanded on it recently. So yeah, Disney's getting their fat, grimy mitts on anime and manga, so honestly, I'm not exactly too optimistic about that, but we'll see where it goes, though. But yeah, I don't really have much of a greater thesis to say. I just kind of wanted to get my thoughts out there. It honestly is really interesting. It's pretty exciting and pretty surreal to see, an event like this, get so big, right? To be so successful. And I think it even heralds a lot of changes in the world, too, like I said. Because this event was a big success. I mean, what sort of, American brand could get, this kind of attention, right? Because like I said, it was like biggest merch lineup in Dodgers history. This event was a big success. I don't know. Would Rick and Morty night have done these kind of numbers? I mean, maybe that Szechuan sauce thing was pretty big, but I don't know. Do people even watch Rick and Morty anymore? Isn't that shit on like season 7 or something? I haven't touched that since like season 3. I don't know. What other big American brands are there? Would people have like come out for Family Guy night? I don't know, maybe. But I guess there's also a difference though. Hololive fans, obviously aren't as numerous as like, Family Guy fans. Family Guy, I'm sure it gets tons of views. Well, I don't know. I'm sure Family Guy is like, has a bigger market cap or whatever. But ultimately, I think another part of it is just Hololive fans are just so much more dedicated. I'm sure every Hololive fan in Southern California came to this, and even some far away. I'm sure there were like fans from Japan here. Fans from all over America, I'm sure, made the trip. But yeah, anyway, I don't really have much else to say about this, but I just, I think it's interesting, Anyway, but why don't you guys tell me what you think about this, okay? Leave a comment down below. Leave a like if you liked it. Subscribe if you want more. And that's about it for me. Thank you very much, and goodbye.